Hello everyone and welcome to round 5 of Grand Prix Atlanta 2012. You're about to see that man, Mark LaLague, the winner of Grand Prix Anaheim just a couple of weeks ago, beating Paul Rietzl in the final. And there is Ben Stark, who also beat Paul Rietzl in a final. In this case, Pro Tour Paris 2011. Behind Ben, you can see Shaheen Soorani getting ready for his feature match. And we'll get a look at him maybe later in the round.
I mean, these guys could maybe start a I beat Paul Rietzl fan mutual appreciation society. Get T-shirts,
yeah,
perhaps some hats. And
Paul Rietzl not good enough in the final.
Right.
And do you know who would really appreciate if T-shirts were made of that? Paul Rietzl, because he's got that kind of sense of humour. Yep. So LaLague and Stark getting ready to rock and roll, and this is a very different matchup than we've seen before. We've got Show and Tell from Mark LaLague. He's got an Angel of Despair, an Inkwell Leviathan, Blazing Archon, Jingataxius, Core Augur. As we see Careful Study getting us underway for LaLague. Ben Stark, meanwhile, well, he is going to look to disrupt and get naughty with Thalia and Scavenging Oozes and Green Sun Zeniths and Fauna Shamans and Path to Exiles and all that good mid-range green-white stuff. Noble Hierarchs, Knight of the Reliquaries and so on. So there you see a Mother of Runes for Ben, who's going to open up as he sacks his Windswept Heath to turn on mana for Mother of Runes, and then he passes back.
Ben Stark's a guy that loves playing. He loves playing with creatures. He likes dudes on the field and that can do stuff. You know, he likes cards that he can sort of play with in the field.
Reach out and touch.
Yeah.
And do you think that's because of just how good a limited player he is, that he just wants to apply combat math as far as possible to constructive magic?
That's exactly the point I was going to make. He knows how to get into the red zone when it's complicated. You know, anybody, if I got a bunch of guys and you don't have any guys, I can turn them sideways and, you know, there's no skill to it. It's doing the deep math, and I think we've seen time and time again, you know, way more important skill in limited than it is in constructed. But Ben's so good at it, he leverages, you know, like Patrick Chapin likes to leverage his control skills and put them in a deck. Ben likes his creature combat skills.
Mm-hmm. So there is Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. You won't see a second one in play, not on purpose anyway, from Ben. But what that's going to do is add cost to everything Mark's going to try and do, non-creature-wise. To
include that Force of Will that he's going to try to pitch. He's still going to need to pay an extra mana for it. Or anything with any alternate cost, you still need to run that extra mana out there.
Yeah, Thalia is a pretty big deal.
And it just comes out. Mark goes to cast Brainstorm, and Ben's like, no, you need to pay one extra for that. So we think we might be calling a judge.
Well, looks like the Brainstorm's just gone back into hand. Now, I suppose arguably, he can't pay for it. That's what actually happened there. Because he, as long as the land is uncracked,
correct.
Ben can't force him to say, no, it costs one extra, you must pay one extra.
Right.
He only had one mana available.
Right. So what would happen here is Mark would get a penalty for a game rule violation. So he
tried to cast something that cost 2 at
for
1.
Right.
But it looks like they've just agreed amongst themselves. Just put it back in your hand and let's get on.
Well, our spotter is Judge Eddie Chung over there. Looks like he's looking over. Looks like he's writing something down right now. Mm. So I think he is indeed issuing that GRV
game rule violation
to LaLague. Yep, there's Eddie Chung. There's him writing it down.
There's Ben Stark, who leads by 1 game rule violation to 0, as it were.
As it were. Eddie, excellent judge and community member from Canada. On the rise. Are you having another milkshake?
No, I'm having the same milkshake as I had before.
You had one yesterday.
Still ongoing. Oh yeah, I had one yesterday.
You're like a milkshake fan?
I'm a true connoisseur of the milkshake world, yeah.
All right, so there's the City of Traders from LaLague. So now Ben is going to start getting in. Don't see Mother of Runes swinging too often, but there she is.
3 damage, now his Knight of the Reliquary. And there's Days from LaLague.
I mean, one of the things about creature rush decks in this format.
He right, okay, he had enough mana. I thought maybe he didn't have enough mana for it. Okay, fine.
He's got the City of Traders.
Yeah, fine. So now I'd like to have your Knight of the Reliquary. Interesting.
So there's a play that a less skilled player might not think to have. You know, he's got his whole brain on my deck is about reanimating my Grizzlebrands.
City of Traitors bites the dust. So Ben now looking at a Knight of the Reliquary thinking, that's quite good, I might have to Swords to Plowshares that. Thalia, of course, is symmetrical, so he too has to pay 1 extra.
Yep.
2 mana for Swords to Plowshares. But that does not succeed. Thalia gets in courtesy of protection from Mother of Runes. It's Dryad Arbor and passes the turn. Ben wants to have a look.
1, 2 lands in the graveyard right now.
And a pretty timely force of will from Mark, who is nonetheless 14-9 behind here in game 1, with more on the way.
Must have had 3 because Ben took 5 right there. Dryad Arbor from Ben Stark. See, looks like Stoneforge Mystic in his hand there, right on the top. Ben's thinking a little bit. Remember, he's going to have to pay 3 for that.
Stoneforge Mystic, which is just your 2 mana, which is fine because it's a creature. Thalia just non-creatures, and he is going to pile in with an increasingly impressive red zone presence. 4 creatures if you give the Dryad Arbor, potentially attacking next turn. LaLague down to 5, has just Stark's Knight of the Reliquary. And this game's really been a showcase for Thalia.
Yes.
LaLague passes the turn. Four cards for Stark.
Ben's just going to hard cast the GT, whip it up. Thalia getting protection from, I guess it doesn't matter since LaLague doesn't have green or white cards, right?
Yeah.
Couple counters on the GT. And there's an Entomb.
Oh look, it's a Grizzlebrand.
Yeah, the problem is Grizzlebrand is not going to get him any cards. Obviously, it becomes a...
Ooh. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need you anymore.
It becomes a rather effective blocker. and may give him the time to get back into the game that he needs.
Yeah, what Ben wants here is a Swords to Plowshares for the Knight of the Reliquary, and then just give protection from black. And you're in a game.
Now, remember the way damage happens, lifelink gives you the life back immediately before state-based actions are checked.
Right, so
Now, in the old days...
Yeah, so if LaLague's at 3 and he's about to take 6 and gain 7, there will be one instance of him going from 3 to 4. There will be no point at which he's at -3.
Correct.
And the game goes, hey, hang on.
Correct.
Yeah. Ben, by the way, I think has drawn another Mother of Runes that turn, which again would be potentially lethal sometime soon. But let's see.
Green Sun Zenith
Okay.
for 2, correct?
Because Thalia is still there. And he goes and gets a Scribber Ranger, which enables him to go pretty much what I was saying. Mother of Runes, protection. Mother of Runes, protection. For the other one, there we go. So that's exactly how we drew it up. We just needed to find a way to let protection do its work. And Ben Stark leads LaLague by 1-0.
He's asking Judge over there for some clarification on something.
Did I win that game?
I'm pretty sure he knows that. So, sideboard options for Ben Stark.
Yeah. What's he got?
He's got Purify the Grave. Linvala doesn't really help him much. Bajuka Bog probably helps him a great deal.
Okay.
Although, I mean, does he really want to slow his development down, dropping the land, into play tap land? He's got Path to Exile. His crop rotation probably to get the Bajuka Bog. Life from the Loam, Caracas we will probably see. Gutchucks we probably won't. Gaddock-Teague we probably won't. And what do you think of Fairy Macabre?
Do you know, that's been in so many sideboards down the years, hasn't it, really? 1 and double black for, notionally, a 2/2 flyer.
Yeah.
Not often you put 2/2 flyers for 3 into your sideboard. Not what it's there for.
Looking at LaLague's sideboard, he has quite some things to hurt Ben Stark. Elish Norn being one of them.
Yeah.
Massacre being another one of them. Perish being a third. So I imagine we'll see some variation on the 3 of those. I mean, I think we were being a little glib about Fairy Macabre.
We should clarify exactly
Yes.
what it does for people. Yeah.
You can discard.
Sorry about that.
You can discard Fairy Macabre to exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards. So you could actually discard one of your own, one of yours and one of somebody else's. But
Which puts it into one of those rare categories of a coloured card that goes into sideboards that can't cast the card.
Right.
Because you will frequently see that in a blue-white
right,
sideboard. Mono-red
right.
will sometimes have a Fairy Macabre in the sideboard or 2.
Yeah, the crazy game state here is Ben Stark uses Fairy Macabre to discard to get 2 things out, and then
Get Grizzlebrand away
and then Mark reanimates it and kills him with it.
So in response to the reanimate, you empty the graveyard of the Grizzlebrand. Then Fairy Macabre is in Ben Stark's own graveyard.
Yep.
At which point Reanimate has a choice of targets, one of which is the Ferry Macabre.
Correct.
Okay. It probably needs quite a lot of work for
Right.
for Mark to have a Ferry Macabre of Ben's going the distance.
Well,
I mean, you couldn't make Knight of the Reliquary go the distance in game one.
The timing has to be is quite important.
Yeah.
Because Animate Dead.
That's any graveyard, isn't it? Animate Dead. Yep, you can just do it wherever you like.
Right, but
it has a triggered ability. It's not targeted. It's not a targeted spell like say Zombify is.
Okay.
when Animate Dead enters the battlefield, if it's still there, if it's still around, it loses enchant creature card in the graveyard, because that's what kind of card it is.
Yep.
And gains enchant creature put onto the battlefield with Animate Dead. And then you return enchanted creature card to the battlefield under your control and attach it. It's one of the wonkiest card wording.
Has this been reworded?
Yes.
Because this is because it came out in the dual decks. Was Gareth against Liliana?
It came out in the
in the premium deck series in the graveyard.
That's right, Graveball. That's the one. Yeah.
With new art and everything.
Yes. Because most people here, you'll see it with white border.
Yeah.
From, as we say, back in the day. And this time we really mean it.
Yes.
We're talking 1994 back in the day, aren't we?
And don't forget the creature gets -1/0.
Always a big factor. Actually, I mean, sometimes...
Grizzlebrand will take a 4th hit to kill you.
It's true. And you'll only have drawn 28 extra cards. Sorry, really made you choke on your burger there. That was very unfortunate timing. Sorry about that. It's true though. Extra turn. I played a draft yesterday. My opponent managed to draw 9 extra cards, courtesy of Tandem Lookout, pair with a Wingcrafter, 2 extra cards, Into the Void your 2 guys, 2 extra cards, kill your guy, bounce your guy, 2 extra cards, Cloud Shift when I tried to kill one of them, 2 extra cards. Beating.
Looks like LaLague went into the tank a little bit thinking about his hand, has decided to keep it. I see City of Traders.
Yeah, a couple of brainstorms, so it's a hand looking to improve. Force of Will, double brainstorm days, by the looks of things.
Ben Stark, on the other hand, has decided to ship his back.
Well, really, I mean, if Ben doesn't have pressure, he really can't win.
Yeah, I mean, he has to look at where will he be at the end of 2 turns on the draw.
Right.
And imagine what the 2 turns from LaLague can be. Now, I mean, I suppose if you can trust the apparent reluctance that LaLague had for his 7,
right,
you can think maybe he doesn't have the absolute everything. If you have that read, think maybe I have a little bit of time. It isn't as simple as, Entomb,
right,
out, off we go, on turn 2. So let's see what 6 have in store for Ben. Looks like there might be a Ferry Macabre there.
Looks like. Oh, there was an Underground Sea hiding there.
Okay.
And Noble Hierarch.
It's got a Green Sun Zenith. You're going to see Brainstorm from LaLague.
So we talked a little earlier about Ben Stark being, some bit away, a Pro Tour top 8 or so, from a Hall of Fame vote. Winning a GP, put him over the line for you?
No. It's all about the PTs.
Okay.
All about the PTs. Because you look at people who make the top 8 of a GP, and their schedule varies so wildly between playing, 4 people who've made a Pro Tour top 8 to reach the top 8 of the GP, to someone who literally plays no one you've ever heard of until the semi-final.
Right.
It is wildly varying the levels you can play at, and there are people who have a fantastic path. They dodge everyone who's a good name right the way to the end, and then either win or make the top 8. You don't accidentally make a Pro Tour top 8. There is no path that avoids really good people, because even if they're people you haven't heard of,
Right.
they're really good people. So like David Kaplan, Canadian name, is someone who you face in the last 3 rounds of a Pro Tour. He's really, really good.
Right.
He's not world famous, but he is really, really good. And you can play people at 10-3 in a GP who, like you, have had a nice seal pool on day
Right.
1, won their first draft because they were next to someone inexperienced, and then there are only 2 rounds in the top
Right.
8. So no, winning a GP doesn't really factor into my Hall of Fame stuff at all. Now, many GP top 8s,
Right.
that has an influence in terms of longevity and consistently
Sure.
being better than almost everyone else. But
We see here Ben Stark has stuck a turn to Thalia. I thought that I saw in LaLague's hand Force of Will and another blue card. So
you did.
he could have countered the Thalia, decided not to. And then, of course, we saw Noble Hierarch get into the red zone. Thalia going to get in there for 3 now. And Knight of the Reliquary. This probably gets...
Well, we see a crack of the flooded strand.
countered and reanimated.
One, two, three. It's going to be dazed.
There is the reanimate in his hand.
So, left of screen reanimate, bottom right, Knight of the Reliquary. But given that there's Exalted and Thalia has first strike, right now the Knight of the Reliquary is actually pretty pitiful.
It's only 3/3.
Well, it's enough though, I mean even with... Oh no, Thalia would deal with it, wouldn't it, right now? But instead, LaLague decides to set up, it's going to put
There it
Alice
is.
Norn into the graveyard.
Yeah, that's almost a backbreaker for Ben Stark.
Large amounts of your creatures are all dead.
Of course, we know that.
What does Ben have that stays alive under a Alice Norn?
Oh, there's the Fairy Macabre. Removing Elish Norn
His own Knight of the Reliquary?
It's like he's just looking at Mark's graveyard instead of thinking about his own.
It is just straight up 2 target cards from graveyards.
Yes.
So, he could do his own.
Ben has nothing that survives Elish Norn.
Other than a Knight of the Reliquary.
Other than an appropriate
With-
sized Knight of
yeah, I
Relic.
mean, right now it doesn't.
Obviously, you might zoom something that looks nice. Yeah. How many cards do you left? I'll just take that.
It's like some level of discussion
So
going
yes,
on.
there goes Knight of the Reliquary as well.
I think Ben leaned over and asked the judge to verify that he could do that.
Because it's unusual that you can,
Yes.
in a sense, split targets in that way.
Yeah. Here comes Thalia again. There's Fauna Shaman.
First appearance of Canon of Souls.
Probably naming
Human, isn't it?
human. I mean, what's important for him to get to hit the table right now? I mean, if the Quasali Pride Mage is the only thing that's important,
then he's going to
Sure.
pick Cat Shaman or whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, he wouldn't object to getting another Knight of the Reliquary into play.
Right.
So, and a Wasteland.
Certainly looks like momentum heading Ben Stark's way. Gotten LaLague to the important life total of 7, which means even if he reanimates a Griselbrand, it's not getting there.
Now marked down to 4.
There's the hand. I think peeling a Massacre was about the only thing that he could do there.
So we'll see if we can get the other match onto camera.